Listen, y'all. There used to be a time. If you're old enough to remember this, stay with me. There used to be a time where I used to wake up, like from elementary school to like basically the end of college. You'd wake up and either, you watch, Cartoon Network at some point or MTV, VH1, um, and then eventually, or at the same time, ESPN. You just be flipping through before the school bus or before you bike to school or whatever the case may be. Eventually go to high school / college drive, right? Mike and Mike, at some point, First Take, Undisputed, and just earlier shows like just straight up Sports Center. Like there just used to be such a great collection of stuff to watch in the morning. And as I got older, it was really I just tuned into ESPN, FS1 to watch Undisputed and other shows like that. Bro, it's become unbearable. It's become unbearable, man. It is insane. Because one, you tune to FS1, you have grown men with while the NBA Finals is going on, talking about LeBron James not about LeBron James commenting on people saying he has a bag or not. You have grown men talking about not debating if LeBron has a bag or not, which is something I feel like because LeBron brought it up on his podcast would be fair to talk about and would be interesting to talk about, especially if you have actual perspective, especially from other players on, like if you bring other players on the show that have guarded LeBron or played with LeBron. That would be interesting, right? You'd be like, hey, on one side for the people, you have one side of a player that played against LeBron, and you have on the other side a player that played with LeBron, or better yet, have a player or players that have done both, because LeBron has had many teammates. So it would be interesting. My phone's definitely still on. We still like it would be interesting to do that. It would have been interesting to do that. But instead, it's just grown men saying LeBron's a crybaby, the same thing they've done his whole career. Then you have ESPN, who has Stephen A. Smith as the face of ESPN sportscasting news, right? Then you have him talking about Giannis being a underachiever, and that was my boiling point. That was my boiling point. Bro, Giannis is not an underachiever. What does that even... I know what underachiever means, but what does it mean when you put it in context with Giannis? Because that doesn't make any sense. Giannis is going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. So, now that we've put that out there, there is no underachieving. If that's what you are, there is no underachiever. There's no underachieving. You could make an argument and say, hey, there are teams, because there are different iterations year after year, right? Where the Bucks, while having Giannis as their star player, has underachieved certain seasons. And here's example A, B, C as to why. You could talk about that. Hey, the year they won the championship, if they didn't win the championship, if they lost it to Phoenix, you could make an argument. I wouldn't necessarily, but you could make an argument saying, hey, they underachieved. But here's the thing. He just hasn't underachieved. When Giannis was a rookie, when Giannis was a prospect, no one knew his name. When Giannis was a rookie, no one knew how to correctly pronounce his name. Now everyone does. So that by itself is a kind of funny way of showing that he is not an underachiever, because his name is etched into NBA history. Players whose names are etched into NBA history are not underachieving players, regardless of what you want to say. No one would say Charles, and no one who's serious and loves the game of basketball would ever say Charles Barkley is an underachiever. He didn't win the ring, but he had an amazing career. Whoa. Are we going to say Allen Iverson is an underachiever because He didn't win a title. What are we talking about here? And I say all that to say those are players without championship rings. One make it to the final, or did Charles make it? I forgot. But either way, bruh, like, Giannis has won a championship. He has won a championship. This is the thing that bugs me. He's won a championship, and he was a major contributing factor to win that championship. If I'm not mistaken, bro, I think he had a 50-point finals game. I could be way off base. Didn't Giannis have a? I could be way off base. Hold on, while I'm here, let me just double check because I want to say that he has, but I'm not positive. Has Giannis had a 50-point finals game? Yes, Giannis has had a 50-point game in the NBA Finals. So it was Game 6. Come on. And it was a Game 6 that led them to the chip directly. What are we talking about? There's not many players who have done that. Bro, didn't he win DPOY that year? I could be wrong about that one. But he definitely won the chip, and then he won Finals MVP. He's not an underachiever, bro. And then you have people talking, and then you have Stephen A. Smith talking about, well, I said he was an underachiever. Now, I'm not saying his career was bad. Okay, but how does he, do you know how many players or people in the universe would trade to have whatever career? It doesn't even have to just be an NBA career. It could be career in finance for all I care. Do you know how many people who would murder millions to swap places with Giannis to have his career that he has to this day? Are you kidding me? That's not an underachiever. Bro. You could say Ben Simmons. We could have a discussion and debate about Ben Simmons. We could have a discussion or debate about Joel Embiid. But he's MVP, so would I not? I just can't say it. The reason why I say Ben Simmons is because how much hype he had, or Zion's a perfect example. They were called Zion and Ben Simmons labeled the next LeBron, the next face of the league, this and that. And then look where they're at currently in their careers. That is more of a better conversation you could have when tagging underachiever to someone or to someone's career. But to tag it to an NBA Finals MVP / champion doesn't make any sense. He could retire today and he would be in discussions of where does Giannis rank all time in dominance. Like, that's who Giannis is. So why are we I don't understand it. Like, and there's people who fought back on him on it, but I just feel like when he initially said it, I just think people are, I'm not gonna lie to you, man. I kind of just think people want, and I can't blame this for them for this, because they're professionals, but they know it's Stephen A. Smith's show. They know it is. They know he's the face of what this is. So you can go against him. You can argue, you can debate against him. But at the end of the day, it becomes more than just the topic and basketball or whatever subject, but particularly in context of this is basketball. And then becomes like, this person should get fired because they backtalk. It becomes a whole situation that a lot of people do not want to deal with. And so I do not blame them for pushing back on him to a certain extent. But like, this is enough. And I think Jay Williams said it. I didn't watch the clip because I think it was today, but I think he said it or something. I think I saw a clip that he pushed back, and I'm happy. I want to watch that afterwards. I just got the alert before right before I press record, and I just wish more people would say enough, and not just people trolling him on the internet or the streets or none of that. And I'm not saying any of that. I'm saying I want, like, literally, I don't know. There needs to be a superhero, a savior, someone to save the current discourse of like what like NBA discourse is. Because again, there's no way that Giannis is underachiever and we're going to run this narrative. Because you know what's the discourse that's going to spark. And I just can't take anyone serious that's getting paid millions of dollars to talk about the sport that I love and say that Giannis is an underachiever. That's insane. That doesn't make any sense. It's not even funny to joke about. Because if Giannis is an underachiever, then what is half the not even half. There's a lot of Hall of Famers, bro, that then you would have to put that on. And that just doesn't make any sense. And again, if you want to have a different conversation that sometimes NFL circles have about raising the criteria for Hall of Fame talent, that's a completely different discussion that we could be having if you really want to have the discussion. But this is not that discussion. This is saying that one of the players that will be remembered forever in this league, in this sport, is an underachiever. And that does not make any sense. And I really hate that people in the media like Stephen A. Smith can just come out and say, it is so asinine, bro. It is. Because then you have other clips, not even clips, but conversations where he's talking about, he's taking something Halliburton said like way out of context and making it a personal attack against him. And then makes the whole segment about other people who are better than you, more elite, and have more to their resume has tried to take me down. What are you talking about? And this is the thing. I truly love and respect, I respect Stephen A. Smith as a businessman, how he conducts his business. I do love some of his takes when it comes to racial issues within sports media and within the sport itself. And I do find a lot of his takes entertaining throughout the years. So I'm not saying Stephen A. Smith is someone who's not qualified or anything like that. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying at some point we gotta be like, all right, we can sell talking sports for a living. And I'm talking about ESPN as a company. We can, and FS1, Fox, all those people. We can talk about sports for a living without these egregious takes that we know will spark such a visceral reaction that will get people engaged. Like, we don't have to do that, bro. You can just talk about how much you love the game, talk about some cool stuff, and we could go. Like, the NBA Finals is happening right now. We're about to see an all-time final. Like, we're just talking nonsense, bro. An underachiever. Miss me with that. Miss me with that, man. Comment, like, subscribe, share. Love y'all's opinion. Matter of fact, comment down below if you... I know not everyone's a Bucks fan, but comment down below. And if you have your favorite Giannis moment, let me know. Let me know your favorite Giannis moment, because mine is Game 6. That made me like I used to hate Giannis's game. Not Giannis as a person. I used to hate Giannis's game, bro. I used to hate Giannis's game. But that finals, I was like, this dude he's a cool dude, bro. He just is. All right, see y'all in the next one.